teachers, not because of who we like, but because of who this person here is going to be the best for this district, and Father, also for the best person for this city. Father, we're counting on you tonight, leaning on you right now to help us and lead us and guide us in the things that we say and the thoughts that may be in our minds. And we ask in this, and we glorify you in Jesus Christ. Amen.
Council President, can I make an announcement right quick? I just wanted to make an announcement that as of starting today, in all city-owned buildings, you are supposed to wear a mask. So if you're in here tonight, you need to put on a mask. We're requiring all city employees, as well as if you're in a city-owned building, to wear a mask. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Tonight's meeting, we have 4 candidates that are advocating their role to fill the empty seat for District 5. We have 4 applicants. We're going to spend an hour hearing from them, 15 minutes each. Just to do this in order in any way possible, I tried to figure out how the best way to do it, so we're just going to do it alphabetically. So, Aaron, you are up first, sir.
First name, not last name.
Good evening, sir. The floor is yours.
Oh, okay. Thought there was going to be questions. Okay, let's see. Well, my name's Aaron Sims. I have run for this seat twice against previous Councilor Wilson. He's got quite a following. He's a tough opponent. Sorry, just ran in, catch my breath. I've lived in Irondale since 6th grade, except for a time away from college and a 6-year stint in the Marine Corps. I came back to Holiday Gardens where my wife had grown up. Been there since 2008. I guess about midway through that year, we started trying to come to some council meetings, figure out, how's Irondale work. And I've been trying to stay involved ever since, as best could. I served on the CDA for a couple of years. I was involved with the Irondale and the MOVE Advisory Committee, the previous comprehensive plan, and I'm excited to see the mayor's move for Irondale moving forward. I am currently the broker at Keller Williams Vestavia, which is the largest real estate office in the state. I've got 381 agents currently. I think a lot of skills I picked up in the Marine Corps and doing real estate since 2012, and being the broker especially would be an asset to being a counselor. As a broker, I am in charge of making sure all the agents are compliant, following the laws, following the rules as far as the local multiple listing service, dealing with all that. When things get to my level, they're usually problems and not happy situations, so a lot of problem solving, talking to other brokers, talking to agents, trying to negotiate, get the client what they want, and look for a win-win in every situation. I think those negotiation skills and problem solving skills would be an asset to the city as well in District 5. I've got 6 children, one of which is a UAB and a graduate of the Jefferson County International Baccalaureate School. My wife and I are actually graduates of Chase Valley RLC, which was, I guess, the precursor to JCIB. I've got 1 starting kindergarten, another one that will be at Grantswood, 1 starting middle school, and another one that will be a freshman at JCIB this year. So I want Irondale to be great now, and I also am looking toward the future because we've got kids going through schools here, so I want the best schools possible for our city. They're county schools, but I think we can work with the county and make sure that we have the best schools possible. I want to make sure we have a safe place to live because that's what everybody wants their family to have, a safe place to live. Our real estate values, because I'm in real estate, have been going up the last couple of years. And it's always interesting to get buyers' perspectives when they throw out some cities. And I think Irondale's a lot better than those, and I'll toss that Irondale, and they're like, yeah, let's look there. So property values have gone up. I'd like to keep doing things that'll help our residents increase their property values. Eventually, some people might have to move, and it'd be great to be able to make a profit on their house. Let's see. One thing I think is very important is communication, both between the counselor and the district. I think that should be a two-way street. That's one thing I think may have been lacking in the recent past. And I'd love to have, I want to make sure everyone in the district knows what's happening in the city, knows what's happening at the council meetings, knows what happened at the council meetings, the outcome. And I want to make sure that there's an open door, that if anybody has issues or complaints or anything that they're concerned about, they're free to reach out and get those answers, or if I don't know them, direct them or me go track down where the answer is. I might be not thinking of something that I wanted to touch on, but if y'all have questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
Councilman Linden?
Yes, I got a few. I'm gonna answer one and let somebody else answer.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And come back to me. First of all, Aaron, thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for being part of the race. We appreciate that. But my first question is this. Social media, this is what social media said. I'm reading a lot of social media about this thing. And I have been torn. I'm gonna just tell you, when Bobby Joe decided to step down, I have been torn because I have a relationship with all the candidates. So I have been torn. I want to say that first. But social media said that we should appoint Aaron only because he finished second. Only. And there was two people in this last race, which was close, about 3 votes. I think 3 votes that separated you two guys. So my question is, what skills and knowledge, and it's in your letter, and expertise that you would bring to the council to make this a great council?
It's a good question. I have not been as active the last couple of weeks on social media because I was out of town. I was at a national park where I had 0 cell coverage for several days, which was really tough. So thankfully I got Lou's email after her call didn't go through for I don't know how long she was trying me. But so I haven't actually caught up on much of what's been said on social media lately. No, I don't think precedent was that that's how a couple of the last council members that had this situation got appointed. But at the same time, if someone was second place and they lived in their mom's basement and did nothing for the last 20 years, I'd probably be like, I don't think they're the best person. Again, I think I've got some great skills that would be an asset to the council. I touched on some of those earlier again. While I want open communication with everybody, I think I can work well with the council, with the mayor. I think, like I said, I'm a problem solver, and I think like my job at work is dealing with problems all day long. And I think a lot of the council's things that they decide are, in a way, some sort of issue that's got to get decided. Not that it's a negative issue, but if you don't decide stuff, it becomes a negative issue. And there's many ways to solve problems. So just a couple of extra ideas out there, I think will help everybody. I think communication is key. I'd say 90% of the issues that come to my level, if you trace it back, the issue to its origin, it was somebody didn't communicate with somebody else, whether it was an agent with a client or 2 agents or somebody involved in the transaction. So again, I've learned sometimes the hard way the last few years that as long as everyone's communicating and being upfront with everybody, usually you end up not encountering issues that would pop up if you didn't. Again, negotiating. I enjoy negotiating in real estate. I don't know. Half my life is negotiating with the kids at home and work, and probably more than half. And I think that's something that also previous administrations, I thought, did not do an amazing job negotiating some of the stuff they did. And I don't know if that's a mayor thing or if the council's involved in negotiations, but I'd love to have the opportunity to assist on that because, again, it seems like sometimes I have the ability to see different perspectives and can find things that will work for everybody and benefit the city a little bit better than maybe the other side was hoping to get, but them also get a win.
Councilwoman Couillard?
Mr. Sims, I have two questions, and I'll ask the first one. Where would you like to see Irondale in 2025, because that is when our terms will expire? And what would you do to make your vision for Irondale in 2025 a reality?
A lot of the big things that the citizens want, like we're doing the Blueford Irondale right now, and I'm not sure how long that process is expected to take, but they're gonna have a roadmap when that's completed. And, yeah, there'll be small stuff that can happen in a year or two, and there'll be bigger things that we need to get started working towards. And so I'm not sure what will actually happen in the next 4 years, 3 years, the rest of this term. But I would like to see a lot of forward momentum towards things that the citizens said they want, that the council feels like is stuff that Irondale needs. And again, we might not see actual building somewhere yet, but, you know, there should be plans to have the funds for that if it's a city building, or how are we getting there? You know, I think we should be well on our way and moving faster at that point. And again, I want to make sure again that, you know, I think we've got a great fire department, great police department. I want to make sure that they have all the training they need to be the best in the county and the state, really. I mean, they should be the best out there. Because again, I think anybody that moves in Irondale, whether they're renting or buying a house, I think they should feel like if anything goes wrong, someone's going to be there. And, you know, when someone's having their worst day, we should have enough trained people to show up to help them as best we can. Let's see. That's a good question.
Councilman?
Yeah, just see the progress, really. I mean, I just want to keep seeing the momentum. Y'all have been, the last year's been amazing. I want to jump in and push.
Councilman Box?
Yeah, I had the privilege of meeting with all 4 of the candidates, and so I want to appreciate your time on that, Aaron. And so I really don't have many questions, because most of my questions were answered during those one-on-one meetings. The one question I didn't get to ask you, and this is kind of an issue just because it gives me an insight into a person's team working ability. Were you an NCO or an officer in the Marine Corps?
I enlisted. I was promoted to Lance Corporal and then sent to officer candidate class and was commissioned.
I'm sorry, say that last part.
I was commissioned an officer, so I was Lance Corporal and then a second lieutenant, got out
Okay,
as
so
a
you were
first
a
lieutenant.
through the ranks officer. You came
Yes,
up through the
yeah,
ranks.
Mustang, so.
Okay. All right, very
Sorry,
good. And so therefore, I would understand that teamwork was one of the, I know with the Army, we're kind of the backbone of the service, the Marine Corps is the tip of the spear, but I know that teamwork and being able to work with all different personalities, different backgrounds is a primary thing for a military service. I would assume it's the same way in the Marine Corps.
Yes, sir. Yes, there was definitely a lot of leadership exercises in both the basic school and officer candidate class that if your group of people that were shoved together, your squad or your had an exercise to complete, if you did not work together, you did not complete it, or you got wet because you fell down and got in the water, and that was never fun either. So, yes.
In most of my experience too, it didn't matter what your personal opinions were, your goal was for the team.
Yes.
Now, I have no further questions.
We're sitting at 12 minutes and 20 seconds, so I'm going to try to ask my question real quick. You ran the first time. You didn't succeed with getting the seat. What made you decide to run a second time? A lot of people pick up their toys and go home. What caused that desire for you to run a second time?
I'm stubborn. I mean, again, both times I ran, I knew it was going to be a endeavor. I think I may have said this in the video post this morning. I think if you said there's an election tomorrow, I think, and Bobby Joe decided he was going to come back, he'd probably have 200 people show up because he's got a low following, and which is amazing. That's your goal as someone in politics. So, I mean, I knew it was going to be an uphill battle. I just felt like, one, I felt like I'd served the cities in some other capacities, and I thought I would do well as a counselor, so I thought I'd go for it. I thought, again, knowledge, skills, and abilities, it would be complementary to the other members of the council, and it'd be something I could serve the city and do well at. I got to go out and meet a ton of people, which was awesome. Learned a ton about what the concerns in the district were by meeting people. And at the time, no one else was running, and I just felt at least the district needs a choice. Again, I didn't see myself as running against Bobby Joe as much as that's my goal. And hopefully we can get enough people on board that'll show up. I know the first election, both elections turnout was minuscule and very disappointing. But there were people that got up and voted. I think there's lots of people I've seen involved since my very first run that I talked to that were not involved before. And so I don't know if our conversation got them more involved, but that was one thing I think I told everyone I talked to, just go vote and get involved. If you don't vote for me, that's fine. Just get involved in the city because, y'all work. If I get the position, get to be up there, I work for the citizens. You work for the citizens are in charge. And same for the mayor, sir. They're the ones in charge, where you're up there making decisions, getting information, but
Okay, real quick, John, Councilman Lennon, you had a follow-up question? Please be quick.
I had a few.
Yep.
You good? Okay,
We're at
good.
14 and 50
Okay,
seconds.
I'm gonna follow up on your question another way, Council President. I coach basketball, and I'm pretty good at it. I mean, if people ask me, I'm pretty good at it. What do you think about a district, about the people in your district that's rejected you, not one time, but twice? How are you going to serve a group of people who said no to you twice?
I don't think they said no to me. I look at it as though there was a incumbent that had been in office for several years. And again, he had 200 people show up tomorrow if he needed to, I'm pretty sure, because they're loyal, which is great. They felt like Bobby Joe was the best candidate, and that was the outcome. Sometimes I see people run. I mean, I've been here since 2008, and they disappear. I didn't disappear. I stayed around, tried to get involved other ways. And, I mean, people support, the other candidates are great, and if I'm appointed, I will listen to them and anybody that supported them just as much as anybody else. I try not, my office at work, we're probably the most diverse office in the state, and I try to see just people. To me, you either love Irondale or you don't. That's what matters. If you love Irondale and you've got ideas, let's see if we can make them happen. And I don't care who you supported in the last election, the last mayor, this counselor, that counselor, someone who ran and didn't make it. Once it's done, it doesn't matter anymore. Like when I get issues sometimes, closing's in 10 minutes, and there'll be this huge argument. I'm like, stop. I can't do anything about the last 20 days of stuff that went wrong. Do you want the house or not? Yes. Let's get the house. So, all that stuff in the past doesn't matter. It's what are we doing now going forward?
So you and I are a little different. If I don't come out on
We're
top,
at 17
we're
minutes. I'm
losing.
going to have to,
So,
unfortunately, we're going to have to move on to the next candidate.
Councilman Quaylar.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you for your time, Mr. Sims. I greatly appreciate it.
Hold on. Oh, we're not done? I thought Councilman Quaylar had another question.
Well,
No.
we're up against
That's
a
all right.
post. We assign 15 minutes for each candidate.
Can I ask him just one quick question?
Quickly.
All of my question came from your constituents, not, I haven't asked anybody in District 1, because it's not their business, about District 5, it's the people that live in your district. So how do you dispel, when you lost twice, we never see Aaron again, how are you gonna dispel that to your people? That's what I hear from your district, that when you got beat in 2 council races, that they never saw you.
I didn't move.
Well, they
I'm
never
still
saw
here.
you in the community, knocking on doors.
No, I did in 2018.
Yeah.
I went from being an agent to the broker, so that took up a ton of time. My wife's been working out of state for the last 2 years, which again, I'm here with 5 kids. So, it's been tougher to get to council meetings and stuff like that, try to watch online, which is awesome that y'all do that now. I haven't disappeared. I mean, again, not everybody's on social media, but I'm still trying to follow stuff, answer questions, and put my head in, when able, which is more often than my wife would like. So, I mean, I've tried to stay involved as best I can, the last couple of years, and I don't think I've disappeared at all. It's just, the new job took a little bit more time, and it took a bit to get adjusted to sectoring, I guess, blocking my time, getting better organized with that, but, I mean, nothing that would affect Wednesday nights and all the other stuff, with the council.
Thank you, Aaron. That's 19 minutes. Thank you, sir. All right, appreciate your time. Because we allowed a little extra time, we're going to assign that same 19 minutes to the next candidate, so we will be starting our council meeting a little behind.
So each candidate will now get 19 minutes, or we'll just?
I've got to give equal time, so, yes.
Very well,
Mhm.
very well.
I think what we need to do is try and stick as close, and if we don't get to ask all our questions, we need to understand that,
Understand.
okay?
Council President, can I say one comment? This is a big appointment.
It is a big,
If
that's
it
why
takes us all night to get it done, we just need to get it done.
we just have to start our
Okay.
meeting as close to the appointed time as we possibly can.
Thank you, sir.
Greetings, ma'am. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, I'm doing well.
Outstanding. Please introduce yourself.
Yes.
Yes, please. Please introduce yourself. You've got 19 minutes. Introduce yourself, and we'll probably have some follow-up questions for you.
Well, good afternoon to the mayor, the council. I'm Carolyn Jones, and you want me to tell a little bit about myself?
Please, it's all yours.
Oh, okay. I'm Carolyn Jones. I've been a resident of Irondale for 41 years. I've been at the same address. I have worked in my community. I have worked in the city. It's something that I really love doing. I love Irondale, and I love community. And I've worked very hard over the years to enhance Irondale as a whole. And Holiday Gardens is the community that I live in. And I'm a member of Holiday Gardens Neighborhood Association and have been working with them. And I really, really want to take the position as District 5 council person. I think that, well, I know I'm qualified based on my experience, based on the fact that I'm so familiar based on my other previous work experiences. Now I'll keep talking if y'all don't stop me. On my previous work experience, working with Birmingham City Council as a council assistant for 4 years. I also worked for Irondale City Council as a council assistant. So I feel as though I'm very qualified for the position. I know the makeup of a council. I know the do's and the don'ts, the laws, and the council is governed by the Mayor-Council Act. And I think I could bring a lot to the council and to the city of Irondale.
Councilman London?
You want to start down there this time? Or you want me to go first?
Yeah,
No problem. I don't mind being first. I like being first.
I always start on your end and work this way, man.
That's
so-
a
I'm
coach,
just-
isn't it?
I love being
Yeah.
first. I'm
Bring
sorry.
it.
All right, so Carolyn, thanks again. Thank you for coming. Been knowing you a long time. Like again, all the candidates I have a relationship with. So here's my question to you. Why didn't you run for council the last 2 terms?
The only reason I didn't run is not that I hadn't thought about it in the past, but I was quite satisfied with the representation that I had. and I had worked with the previous counselor, and I really didn't have any urge to run because I had all my faith and confidence in him and that he was representing us well.
Okay. Councilwoman Quayle?
Good evening, Ms. Jones. Thank you so much for
Good
being
evening.
here. For everyone's information, council members had the opportunity to have phone interviews with each of the candidates, which I certainly did, and I have a lot of information already. There are two questions that I would hope to ask, and the first question is, where would you like to see Irondale in 2025? And what would you do to make your vision for Irondale in 2025 a reality?
My vision for Irondale in 2025 is that the citizens will see these big gateways. They will see beautiful exits and entrance to the interstate with beautiful flowers and signs saying, "Welcome to Irondale." That's one of my visions. Okay, what was the second part?
What would you do to make your vision a reality?
Well, I will work very closely with the mayor, his staff, the council as a whole. We have a new program that's starting up now, and I'm so hung up on Irondale on the Move. I can't think of the name. Blueprint Irondale, thank you. So I will work really hard with Blueprint Irondale, and I think included in Blueprint Irondale is some of the vision that I have for the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Box?
Hey, Ms. Carolyn, thanks for coming. As I've stated before, I've had the opportunity and really a privilege to meet everybody. And so I'm grateful for the time you and I got to spend together to get to know each other. So most of my questions will just be brief because we've already talked. Now, you said Blueprint Irondale. Weren't you involved also on the former thing with Irondale? What's the comprehensive plan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought you had mentioned that.
Irondale on the Move.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
what it was called.
And so, several other things from what I understand from our meeting that you have helped the city with.
Yes, sir.
All right. Then the other question I have, it kind of ties into, since you weren't former military like the other, but what experiences have you had working with people of other backgrounds or other practices that you were able to unify people together? What training or what experience have you got in that realm?
Working with them.
Yes, ma'am. Just on the committees like the Irondale Comprehensive Plan and that type of stuff, or is there any other specifics you'd like to bring out?
No, just, I'm trying to understand your question. It's like, how have I been able to work with other people?
Yes, ma'am. Because the other one was kind of a military question, it's maybe not appropriate here. In the military, we were thrown together with people we didn't know, had no idea of their backgrounds. We
okay.
were given a mission, so everyone had to put aside any special interest, particular beliefs, and focus on a mission. Do you have examples of that type thing that you've been successful in working in?
Well, I've been successful with working with the Hispanic community, don't speak their language, but on several occasions I've been to the trailer park on Alton Road
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
and on different events that we've had in order to get them to know that we want them to communicate and participate in any activity that we do in the city.
Okay.
That's one group of people. Any committee I've ever been on, I always stop and listen so I can learn. Try to be cooperative. Any disagreements in a group, it's always best to listen, communicate, and try to come to an agreement.
Very good. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you, sir. Greetings, ma'am. Regarding some of the activities that you've partnered with, say Spring Fest in the past and everything, I know we sort of lined up a little bit on the first Spring Fest there. I was still in the chamber at that time, so I remember kind of bumping elbows with you a little bit. And then your work that you're currently doing with the chamber, how is working alongside and being part of those organizations, how do you feel that that's prepared you for this type of situation where you're still dealing with city stuff, but just at kind of a higher level?
Well, I think it has prepared me because, number one, my organizational skills. You have to really be on top of things, the scheduling, the vendors, tapping resources to get things done. And I think if I was selected to be a counselor, I would be able to tap into some resources to really help the city move forward in the directions that we're going in, which is a very good, positive direction.
Huh.
I'll probably know some florists that'll come plant some flowers for us.
Fair enough, fair enough. Thank you.
Okay?
Councilman London, do you have a follow-up
Yes,
question?
just one more
Oh,
question.
please, sir.
Ms. Carolyn, what's your understanding of how the council work? What's your understanding of how what we do up here works?
I understand that you are governed by the Mayor-Council Act, that's number one. I understand that you work under Robert's Rules of Order. I understand that you are a body that make laws for the city, approve laws for the city. More?
That's basically it, man.
Okay.
You nailed it.
Councilwoman Quayer?
All right, the second question I had, and you touched on this in your response to Councilman Box, Ms. Jones, and this question is, what has been your response or approach when you've disagreed with a coworker, a boss, a teammate, etc.?
What have I done?
Yes, what has been your response or
If there's
approach?
been a disagreement.
Yes, ma'am.
At first, I just wait. Because I know we're gonna get together, we're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna come to an agreement. I like to communicate. If I don't agree with you, I'm not gonna, in a public setting, out you, so to speak, but I would have a conversation with you to see if we could come to some type of agreement.
Thank you.
Councilman Box?
As I said, Ms. Jones and I had a very wonderful meeting before, so really I limited my questions to there. Thank you.
And as for me, Councilman London, actually, his first question was when I was going to ask you, so you've already answered that, so I thank you for that. Are there any, you have a...
Just
all
30
right.
seconds. Could you talk about some of the things that you've done in Irondale? You know, I read your resume, but a lot of the people haven't read your resume, you know, as far as the cop stop and things like that that you was involved with.
Well, I work very closely with the Irondale Police Department with an initiative called Cop Stop. And the purpose for Cop Stop was to get the community to know the policemen in Irondale, and for Irondale policemen to get to know the community. So what we did was, we went block by block. I think Paramount was the first block. We had hot dogs and desserts, and we put out notices the week before to let the neighbors know that we were coming, and all the first responders would come. And it was a good event. We went all over Holiday Gardens and some other neighborhoods. So Cop Stop was a big success. You know, at the time, policemen were really getting a hard reputation. So we wanted the citizens, well, the police chief wanted the citizens to be able to meet and greet our police department. Some other things. I'm sorry. Was Spring Fest, something that Councilman Wilson initiative, and I had the opportunity to coordinate that. It was a festival downtown Irondale, and I was in charge of organizing the festival, which included retaining vendors, getting vendors to set up and showcase their goods, food trucks, food vendors. We did that, and I coordinated the backpack giveaway 2 years in a row, where I had to go to Walmart, buy the backpacks, the front seat, the back seat, and the trunk, and buy all of the backpacks and the supplies. And I'm always able to get volunteers to come and help. But those are 3 of the things that I coordinated. I've also, in the city, I was very concerned about our senior citizens. And I heard that some of them would leave or not come because they could not afford to buy their lunch. So every month, I would, and this was a secret then, put $50 on the book for any senior that could not afford the $5 for lunch. So that's another thing that I've done.
Thank you.
If there are no more follow-up questions for this young lady, we've let 15 minutes go. The previous candidate got 19, so you've got 4 minutes if you would like any closing comments or forfeit your time.
I really would like to represent District 5 as their counselor. I feel really sure that I could enhance the community and the people who live in the community in District 5. I know that I could enhance the city of Irondale. I know that I could help each and every one of you help move this city forward. And I respectfully ask that you consider me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your
Thank you.
time. Good evening, sir. How are you doing today?
Good evening, how are you?
Very well, thank you. So the first candidate received 19 minutes, so we'll extend that time to you as well.
Okay.
Just please open up with just letting us know a little bit about yourself.
Keep your mask on.
Yeah, thank you, Lou. Just let us know a little bit about yourself, and I'm sure we'll have some follow-up questions for you. And the floor is yours, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you first for the opportunity. My name is Darrell Washington. I've been a resident of Irondale for 25 years. I've been able to raise 4 beautiful kids in Irondale. Anybody who knows me knows that I love Irondale. I'm seeking this opportunity because I've always kind of been in the background trying to support our city in any way I can. I was asked by several residents to consider being appointed to this position. And I really want to be a part of the positive energy that's going on in Irondale. If anybody also knows me, they know that I know the mayor very well. Like what his platform is doing. I like what the council is doing, and I want to be a part of that.
Okay. Councilman Linden?
First of all, Mr. Washington, thank you for coming. I've been going first because they know I like to shoot it first before passing, so. So here's the question I have for you. Tell us what you've been doing the past year or the past year to help move Irondale forward.
Sure. So I'm vice president of the Holiday Gardens Neighborhood Association, and I'm extremely proud to be a part of the association because one is one of the more active neighborhood associations. Despite COVID, we've done a lot to try to get our citizens involved in some of the things going on in the community. Outside of that, in previous years, as you know, I worked a lot with the Parks Committee. I'm proud to say that working with our citizens, we were able to do the renovation of Beacon Park, which I think is a major amenity to our district. And in addition to that, served on the CDA for 2 years. Also have worked on a lot of vibrancy opportunities for Irondale. And what I mean by vibrancy, worked on the Whistle Stop Festival, the Spring Fest Festival, as well as working with you to bring jazz in the park to Beacon Park.
Councilwoman Quayle?
Mr. Wilson, Washington, I enjoyed visiting with you on the phone, doing an interview, and I have 2 questions that I'm asking all the folks that are interested in being appointed to fill the vacancy. So my first question is, where would you like to see Irondale in 2025, and what would you do to make your vision for Irondale in 2025 a reality?
Okay. 2025, I'd like to see Irondale vibrant with retail activity. I'd like to see our commercial corridors with a variety of retail as well as restaurants. But more importantly, I'd like to see a better quality of life for our citizens. I think one of the strengths of Irondale and of District 5 are the citizens, and there are far too many citizens that are not involved. So when I think of 2025, we'll have a Publix grocery store. I think we'll have more residential density, more houses built in Irondale. Sorry, my mask is coming down. As well as our schools. Although we don't have our own school system, I'm a proponent that whatever school is in your neighborhood, that's your school. And so we have to support our schools, whether it's, I attended Ramsey High School. Never thought I would be talking about Mountie Pride, but I love Shades Valley. All 4 of my kids went through Shades Valley. And it was through school where I met a lot of relationships through the Booster Club and other things. But I envision a more modern Irondale, better infrastructure, better roads, a multiplicity of businesses that's in the city. And I keep saying vibrancy because for several years, there's really been nothing going on in Irondale. We lost the Whistle Stop, lost Jazz in the Park, and we have to have events that keep our people engaged, that keep our citizens engaged. So a vibrant city, not just a pass-through city. I think oftentimes Irondale is the pass-through on the way to Leeds, Moody, and other municipalities. I want us to be a destination city, a city where we take advantage of our natural resources like the Cahaba River, like Ruffner Mountain, and just I want everybody knocking on the door trying to come to Irondale. What I will do, I am in economic development. I would utilize, of course, the knowledge that I have in economic development to help in any way I can. But I think as a counselor, probably the #1 thing that counselors need to do is listen to the citizens. I'll do a lot of listening to the citizens to see what they want and do what I can to be a gap filler to help them achieve some of the things that they're looking to achieve.
Thank you.
Councilman Box?
Mr. Washington, thanks again for coming. I enjoyed the time we got to spend together as well. You had an interview with me in person before we knew we were going to have the interviews here. And so it was just wonderful to meet you and sit down and talk about things, and I thought we had a great time of fellowship. But so really, I have one question. I've kind of asked it to the others. I'm going to try to blend it because the first guy was easier because he was former military like me. But let's say there's a challenge that comes up, and we're thrown into something where we have people with different backgrounds, different beliefs, different even moral turpitude. How are you going to, what skills do you have to help you to get everyone to set aside any personal agendas and move forward to get an issue solved for a win around the circle?
Okay. So yeah, I'm not former military, but like Mr. London, I play basketball. And so I have skills in bringing diverse people together. Back to what I said, my grandmother used to always tell me you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, and that's because you should listen twice as much as you talk. I used to have a problem with the talking part, but I would do a lot of listening to the different parties. I think you have to meet people where they are. We live in extremely difficult times in that we're being forced to choose one side or the other. And that's problematic because really nothing happens in a municipality without collaboration. So we've got to find ways to blend different ideas, different ethnicities, and different religious beliefs, but you do that by really galvanizing around one particular goal. And I think that goal is everybody wants to see Irondale become its best self. So listening to what the issues are, analyzing the issues, and seeking solutions. At the end of the day, if you're not a solutions focused person, then you're part of the problem. You know, a lot of people can go on Facebook and complain, but you rarely see on Facebook solutions. You see a lot of people talking about what's wrong, but you don't see a lot of people giving solutions on how you can change that issue. So in conflict resolution, I think listening is probably the first thing that you need to do, analyzing what the situation is, and then making some recommendations that could help bring things more to the middle, opposed to one side versus the other.
Thank you, sir, and that's all my questions.
Thank you, sir. John asked this question with the last candidate and was a question I was going to ask, so I get the chance to do it first this time. Is there any particular reason you haven't run for this position previously in the past?
Yes, well, one, I supported the previous counselor that was here. Bobby Joe Wilson and I have developed a relationship, and I supported what he was doing for District 5. Secondly, I was encouraged a couple of years ago, well, many years ago, that there are more than one way to get involved in the city. Through municipal boards and agencies, which I was a part of, as well as I did a lot with our schools. When you raise 4 kids, you have no choice but to be involved in schools, whether it's Science Olympiad, volleyball, basketball, et cetera. And then I've always supported not only Bobby Joe Wilson, but John London. So I may not have been in the front, but I was always there to give advice, to listen to them, and to support them in any way by serving on committees or just by supporting their ideas.
Thank you. Councilman London?
First of all, you play basketball, you know, but I score the ball, so it's a difference. It's a difference in that. So let's make sure we clear that up, okay? You know, you played at Rams and the mayor played at Parker, so we understand how that works. How that works. But just to me, Darryl, talk a little bit about your educational background, and I know one in particular, my alma mater, you know, and that's why I like you so much. So because of that, but just talk a little bit about your educational background.
Okay, well, I'm a native of Birmingham, and I attended W.J. Christian Elementary School, and then went on to attend Ramsey High School. After high school, I attended Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, and I received a master's degree from Birmingham Southern. So that's my educational background, but like I tell my kids, most of the knowledge that you learn, it's not necessarily always in school. You know, life teaches you a lot, and so yeah, that's my educational background.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Claire?
Yes, my second question is, and you touched on it in your response to Councilman Box. What has been your response and/or approach when you disagree with a coworker, a boss, or a teammate, etc.?
It's varied. Again, I'm a person that's always trying to seek resolution. So again, listening to objectively to both sides. But sometimes I have a tendency to be too diplomatic. There are some times where conflict is good, and I mean that in a temperate way. Civil conflict. You know, the council may not always agree, but again, I think if the focus is moving the city forward, you can put disagreements to the side. So yeah, when I'm dealing with conflict resolution, trying to get to a solution that's amenable to both parties. It's not always easy to do, but you do that again through listening, through using what they call emotional intelligence, that's putting yourself in the other person's shoes. I don't think we do that a lot. We only look at our side. And sometimes when you put yourself in other people's shoes, you may understand what their issues are. But when you just stay steadfast, focused on what you believe, then you can miss some things. So that's kind of how I deal with conflict.
Thank you.
Okay.
Councilman Box?
And once again, he's answered all my questions previously or tonight.
Outstanding, thank you, sir. My last question for you, Mr. Washington, is the work that you've done with the city through various boards and committees and organizations, how do you feel that's prepared you to serve on the council?
Well, I think more than anything, relationships. I had the privilege of working on the city's first adopted comprehensive plan, and what was amazing to me is all the talent in Irondale. You know, there's a lot of talent in Irondale, unfortunately, sitting on the sidelines, because there hasn't been anything to get them involved. But I will utilize relationships. I've been fortunate to meet a lot of the employees. A lot of my neighbors have become lifelong friends. So I think leveraging relationships, leveraging the knowledge that I have of the city and of municipalities. My master's was in public management as well as private management. And so utilizing all those skills, I think, would make me a good counselor. But again, I keep going back to the listening. You know, this is a unique situation in that it wasn't an election. So if I was given the opportunity to be appointed, probably the first thing I would do is try to get in front of the district to see what their issues are, to get an idea of what their priorities are. I think I have a general idea of what our district needs, but it's a people-first position. You don't become a counselor because of you. You're supposed to become a counselor because of the people you serve.
Fair enough, thank you. Councilman London, do you have any follow-up questions?
How many minutes we got? We got a few. All right, one question, Darryl. What's your understanding of how this council works?
Well, I think the council has really a dual role. First, it's the legislative body. So the council is supposed to be enacting ordinances, but then it has oversight of the city's finances and also of the city's real estate resources. But then I think there's also a dual role. The council represents the city. I've seen too many councils that make CNN news for the wrong reasons. So I think the council, you represent your district, but you represent the city. And I think that's a very important endeavor.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Cuellar, any follow-up questions?
No follow-up.
Councilman Box, any follow-up questions? And then I myself, I don't have any follow-up questions either. Mr. Washington, the first applicant was allowed 19 minutes. You're at 13:30, so feel free to close out with some comments that you might have not made or yield your time.
Okay. The only thing I'll close out with, I don't think you embark on any major endeavor unless you have a passion for what you're embarking on. And so one of the things I also believe is you need to have a plan for transition. I call it a first 90-day plan. So if I do get the opportunity, I will be working on 3 major things: active listening, over-communicating, and then doing a whole lot of studying. You are absolutely correct. I've never been a counselor, so I will be spending a lot of time doing studying comprehensive plans, the legal municipalities, and also leaning on fellow counselors in order to come up to speed. So I look forward to the opportunity, and I'll say this. I think District 5 is blessed. All 4 candidates are great candidates. I consider all candidates friends, so I think we really can't go wrong with the selection.
Thank you very much, sir. We
All right.
appreciate your time.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
For anyone who is attending, is come in specifically to attend the council meeting, we're still in the process of doing our interviews for the D5 position. We've got one more candidate, so we're going to hear them, and then we will start our council meeting shortly thereafter. Thank you.
Up front. Microphone.
Greetings, ma'am. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Good to be here.
Yep, you've got, the first candidate was allowed 19 minutes, so that's what you've got to your, at your disposal. We would love to learn a little bit about you, and then we'll have some follow-up questions. The floor is yours.
That's fine.
It's all yours.
Okay.
If you would like to tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll ask you some questions.
I will, okay. I'm trying to figure out which way to start. I'm Patricia Gaucher Frazier, and I've been a resident, kind of get out of breath. I've been a resident here for about almost 41 years. I'm married for 45, I think it's 46 now, but I have a 42-year-old adult son who's autistic. I'm the oldest of 8. Born and raised in Birmingham. Schooled here, went to school all through college here in Birmingham. Retired from Bell South in 2001 after 26 years in management. I'm a math major, undergrad, MBA, Master's of Divinity, Associate Minister of Sardis Missionary Baptist Church, member there for 30 years, been Associate Minister for a little over 13, 14 years. Think of what else about myself. Anything you want to know in particular, or?
Sure, we'll go ahead and start with Councilman London like we have been on the
Okay.
previous candidate. Councilman London?
First, thank you, Council President. First of all, thank you for coming. Thank you for showing interest in your district, but most importantly, your city. So the question I have for you, just tell us what you've been doing in your district that would make you a good counselor.
Well, I've been very active in my Holiday Gardens Neighborhood Association. I just recently gave up the position of president. I wanted to start at the bottom, so I started as a secretary of the neighborhood, and then I went to community service, chair, and then I became president. So I've been working actively. We've been meeting online, Zoom, every month, and hopefully been leading that organization toward how we can improve the Holiday Gardens and improve Irondale. So I've been active all that time.
Councilwoman McQuarrie?
Yes. Ms. Frazier, thank you so much for being here. I enjoyed having the telephone interview with you, and I noted that I had asked all the candidates when we did the interviews the same 2 questions, and so I have 2 questions this evening that are the same questions that I've asked the 3 previous ones.
Okay.
Okay? So my first question is, where would you like to see Irondale in 2025? And what would you do to make your vision for Irondale in 2025 a reality?
I've always wanted Irondale to be the most desirable place to live, because I've enjoyed over 40 years living here, and I've enjoyed, been safe, been comfortable here, and I think it's kind of a unknown to how nice it is to live in Irondale. So I want people to know that it is a good place to live and raise your family, and so I always, in Holiday Gardens, we always say we want Holiday Gardens to be the most desired place to live and the most diverse, so that it's available to anybody that wants to live there. Now, what was your second part of that question?
What would you do to make this vision a reality, to make it the most desirable and the most diverse?
I think the most important thing we need to do, especially in District 5, is to hear its residents, to get to know who's there and what their needs are. A lot of times we think we know what they are, but we need to hear from the people that live there. So I think the most important thing I would do is to try to establish a communication network so that I can hear from them and they can hear from me.
Thank you.
Councilman Box?
Yeah, Ms. Frazier, I
Yes.
just wanted to thank you again for the time we got to spend together here a couple of weeks ago. It It was enjoyable, and the fellowship was amazing there. So really, I've only got one question. I've asked
Okay.
it to the other two candidates. I am modifying it some from the first candidate simply because he was a former military person, and I'm former military.
Okay.
But if you're approaching a situation, you have a goal that's been set before you, and
Right.
maybe it's not a goal that you chose, just a goal set before you. And the people that you're gonna work with are from different religious backgrounds, different moral beliefs, different personal approaches. How do you go about unifying that team to get them to put aside their personal issues or personal preferences and move toward the goal?
The first thing you have to do is listen to them, because we have our own personal perspectives, but sometimes we're not aware of why people think the way they think. So you have to hear why they believe what they believe in order to find that common ground. And if you don't hear it, then you won't. Does that?
Yes, ma'am, that's very good, and I appreciate that, and that's all for mine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And then, it's great to see you again. I know we've talked many times about many different things, so it's lovely to see you up here. One of the questions I've asked, this evening is, obviously, Bobby Joe's had, he's ran and succeeded multiple times. Is there any particular reason, you never tried to run for, election in D5 yourself personally?
Well, one of the reasons I haven't is because I kind of supported Bobby Joe, and I didn't have a problem with the way he represented us, and so I would support him. And plus, he's a neighbor; he lives on the same street.
Might get
So I
awkward.
want to be a good neighbor. We don't want two people running on the same street, but that's why. Because as long as he was there, I knew he would hear my voice, or he'll hear the voice of the Holiday Gardens Neighborhood Association, and there was no reason to.
Copy. Okay, thank you. Councilman London?
Yes, question. What's your understanding of how council work?
Well, I've kind of read up on it a little bit more. I think council is more of the legislative arm. You're supposed to set some of the policies and some of the ordinances and rules and follow through with approving the budget and how the city runs. That's what my understanding of it.
Okay. Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes, my second question is, what has been your response and/or approach when you disagree with a coworker, a boss, a teammate, etc.?
Like I said, the biggest thing with disagreement, you have to hear, understand their objection to what your position is. And because it may be a valid objection. But if you don't feel it's a valid objection, stand your ground. And that's my response. If I think I'm right, I'll stand my ground.
Thank you.
Councilman Box?
No, we've answered all before. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Final question for me is, I know that you've worked with the Holiday Gardens Neighborhood Association and been a part of various other committees and things like that, and we appreciate the service. How do you feel time spent during those, helping with those organizations and committees has prepared you for the council seat?
I think working in those positions, the places I have helped me to be better informed about how to get things done, about what some of the personalities I have to deal with are. I see some of the strengths of our city and our government. I see some of the weaknesses as well. So I think it has helped to start working in the neighborhood to see where the people are, and then come to the meetings and see how those things are deliberated. So it's helped me to be educated and informed.
Councilman London, any follow-up questions?
No follow-up question.
Okay, Councilwoman Cuellar?
No follow-up.
Councilman Box?
No, sir.
And I am good as well. That being said, like I said, we would give you 19 minutes because that's what we allowed the first candidate. You are now at 11 minutes. Feel free to recap or yield your time. Anything that you didn't say in the beginning that you would like to say, maybe something you thought of that you didn't say in the beginning?
Well, I
or
will say this, and this is one of the reasons why I think it's important for me to pursue this position, is that I'm really thrilled about what's happening now in Irondale. But there's some things that we need to take care of to make sure that we got everything taken care of. And that is, we need to establish policies to keep doing the things wrong, keep from doing the things wrong over and over again. In other words, if we see a problem, let's resolve it. Let's find a way to do it better next time. And I think that's kind of the way I am. If I see something that's a problem, I want to solve it.
Understood. All right, well, we will,
So
thank
I
you.
yield my-
Yield your time. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming out tonight.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the crowd that's here with us, obviously, we're getting started a little bit late this evening. We're going to go ahead and just adjourn and just take a 5-minute break in case anybody needs to get any water before we proceed with this meeting. So we will begin this meeting in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Lord, we give you thanks for these medications, and we ask that their bodies be strengthened and that they have full recoveries. Lord, we also look to you for guidance as a council, decisions that we're going to be making this evening. We ask that you send forth your Holy Spirit to lead and guide us in everything that we do, and that it all be for your glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. Since we're called to order, we'll go ahead and do a roll call. Councilman London,
Present.
Councilwoman Cuellar,
Here.
Councilman Box,
Present.
and myself present. Thank you. First item on our agenda tonight would be the approval of the minutes for the regular council meeting on July 21st. Are there any proposed amendments to that, to those minutes? All right, that being said, I would accept a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes for the council meeting on July 21st, 2021.
Okay, we have a motion.
Motion as amended, right?
Yeah, that's amended.
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Because you're absent.
Yes,
Thank you, sir. All right, that being said, now we come down to, it's time to pay the bills. Can we have a motion for the payment of bills that are due?
I make a motion that we approve the current bills for payment in the amount of $154,214.87.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Now that that is handled, we find ourselves looking for any of our professional and/or consultant reports. Okay. That being said, Mayor, if you would like to provide us with your report, sir.
All right. Thank you, Council President. I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We have a very robust agenda, so I know that you all are looking forward to hopefully not being here for a long time tonight, but we will be able to move expeditiously to be able to cover the things that we have in front of us. I just have a few things that I would like to cover. The first thing is I want to thank everyone who came out to Screen Scene in the Park on July the 23rd at Beacon Park. We had about 114 people in attendance, and we're really thinking about doing next year to do a series. It rained Friday and everywhere except for Irondale. So, it was, the sun was shining at the park, and the grass wasn't wet or anything, but I know because the storm came in other areas, it may have had an effect on the crowd there, but I did want to let you know that we're going to do that again. Also on that Saturday, we followed up with Fun Day at the Tracks. It was a very good event. We had 8 food trucks that were out there. There was music, there were line dancing. Everybody had an opportunity to be able to build community. They had a chance to be able to meet their counselors. I had some individuals to give some praise, but I also had some individuals to criticize during the same time. So it kept me busy the whole time, but I want to be able to thank everybody that came out and participated in Fun Day at the Tracks. Also, the mural has been a great hit. I know that it received a good response on Birmingham Now. They shared with me that they usually receive about 3,000 views per article, and they received over 20,000 views for that particular article dealing with the mural that's on the side of the building. There's still some open spots there, so if you'd like to go by and to be able to sign your name on it, we really appreciate it. Also on Saturday, it was extremely hot, but we had the first annual Bobby Joe Wilson backpack giveaway. We probably gave away about 100 to 150 backpacks where people came through the line, and we gave them to them. I had an opportunity to personally deliver 100 to Irondale Community School, and on Monday, we divided all of the backpacks and took equal shares to the high school, to the middle school, and the 2 community schools because they were having registration. We had 843 bags, and we were able to give all of those out. So at least almost every kid in the city of Irondale, when they get ready to start school on August the 10th, they will actually have a book bag. On Sunday, I had an opportunity to be interviewed by former counselor Craig Sanderson. Craig did an extremely good job as we were going through the interview. Because he was a former counselor, he did have inside information about a lot of things and how to be able to approach it. So I would like to thank Craig for that wonderful interview that we had on Sunday. These are a few things that are going to happen in the month of August. On August the 17th, we're having a town hall meeting with Gary Palmer, who is the U.S. representative for District 6. We're going to be here in this council chamber at 6 o'clock. I had an opportunity to go to lunch with Gary about a couple of weeks ago. He has an affinity for barbecue, so he wanted to go to the Golden Rule. So we went to the Golden Rule, and during that conversation, he said, Mayor, I would really love to come to the city of Irondale and to be able to have a town hall meeting here. I wasn't here in the city hall less than an hour, and his assistant was calling and wanted to be able to set that up. So I'm asking you all, would you please come out and participate and to be able to show your love for him? We're trying to develop relationships on every level of government because we need our U.S. senators, we need our representatives, we need our commissioners, we need mayors and city councilors from districts or cities that or municipalities that are around us. So we're trying to make sure that we build relationships with everyone. And also on August the 19th, we're having the mayor's monthly prayer meeting, and it will be held at Church of the Highlands. So it's open to the public, it's open to pastors. If you can pray, if you can utter a word, I mean, whatever you can do, we would welcome you to participate in that event. And finally, I just wanted to let everybody know, on yesterday, we had a meeting with the Jefferson County Health Department. And if you don't think that the virus is real, the virus is real. And that's the reason why we required everybody, when you come into a city-owned building, or if you're a city employee, that you have to wear a mask. This virus does not discriminate. It doesn't care if you're vaccinated or if you're unvaccinated. I'm not a big mask proponent. I'm vaccinated. I've had it, COVID, but I'm going to wear my mask until we can finish having meetings to realize that this virus is now under control. So I just want to encourage everybody that, you know, for whatever reasons, some people say, I don't want to take it because, you know, I may catch something and I may die. But let me give you a news bulletin right quick. You can take the vaccination and get sick. You can catch COVID and die. I think that is a very clear to what can be the outcome. And this is not to be something that we need to continue to play around with. In the book of Genesis, there's a Bible verse that says, am I my brother's keeper? And I know that a lot of people didn't like it yesterday when they got the email saying that they had to put on a mask. But I realized that I am my brother's keeper and that I'm responsible for every employee that walks through that door, and I'm gonna do my very best to be able to keep them as healthy as I can. I don't care if they get mad, upset, don't want to come to work, but at the end of the day, I made that decision. I'm going to stand by it, and I'm going to encourage everybody that's out there tonight that if you're not vaccinated, please consider going to get vaccinated because we don't want you to be a statistic. And Council President, that is the end of my report.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Councilman London, your report, sir. Oh, I apologize. I'm so used to going down the road this evening that I'm just stuck in a groove here. All right, that being said, we're looking for any department head reports at this time. I know we have a few department heads with us. Anyone care to give a report? All right, they're shaking their heads no. Now, that being said, Councilman London, would you like to give your report?
Yes, just one thing. First of all, thank you everyone for showing up tonight, and thank you for wearing your mask. I echo what Mayor Stewart said. If you don't like yourself, love me. If you don't like yourself, love my grandbabies, love my children, whatever. You can do what you want to do with yourself. But the rationale that I hear is folks that I don't want to put that. Well, if you put an Advil in your mouth, you don't know what that is. And we put a lot more things in our younger days in our body that we shouldn't have. So I'm going to leave that right there. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it right there. But just one thing, we're still talking with the Coach Rubin at the high school about starting our youth programs together. And one thing that we talked about, we're looking to start the basketball here in the fall, and then next year start the football. So as soon as we finalize all of that plan, we'll bring that to your council and in a park committee meeting, and decide how we want to handle that. But if anyone, this is what I heard when I was running, and this is one of my pet peeves. Let me say that. I heard we need parks, we need sports, we need, and that was the echo of voice of everybody that ran in my district. And now that it's over, nobody's here. Nobody's here, and Coastal London is still here talking about youth sports and youth kids. So if there's anybody, if you have a child and you're interested in baseball, basketball, whatever you're interested in, contact me. Contact me. Because here's the thing. My baby is 23 years old. She's 23. I'm not going to do it, but I'll show you how to do it. When they were little kids, I was there. I was there Saturday mornings. I was there Monday through Friday, hanging up small goals, setting up the gym. I was there all up. For 17 years, I did that for the youth sports. Just basketball only, not including other sport. So if you have a child and you're interested in youth sports, come see me. I'm not going to do it, but I'll show you how, because it works. So that's my report, and so hopefully I can get someone to come aboard, especially the people that ran against me, who said it was important to them. And maybe I'll see their face here in the next couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Cuellar?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being with us this evening. I'm going to be ceding my time, and Councilman London's going to give us a brief intro into the gentleman that's going to be addressing the council.
I am.
Go ahead, excuse me, Councilman Spivey. My
Sure,
apologies,
thank you.
Councilman London.
You didn't do it.
Coach,
All right. So basically.
Well, my problem is, how'd you get us confused? That's my problem.
You just spoke.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's the hair.
It's a bad.
So Councilwoman Cuellar wanted to yield her time tonight. She has been getting questions about Ruffner Park in her district, so she wanted to have a consultant come up and speak about that a little bit. I wasn't really necessarily wanting this to be a dialogue, considering it's a little out of context tonight. But regardless, I believe he has some key pieces of information that could be helpful for us, so that when, Councilman London, when you choose to call a parks meeting, it might be something handy to just go ahead and have in place. So, sir, if you could come on up and just take a brief moment to introduce yourself and let us know what you have for us this evening.
Can you hand these out?
I'll get him started, Lou, if you want.
And Mr. Kelly, thank you so much for being here.
Certainly. My name's Chuck Kelly. I'm a landscape architect, and the city hired us to develop a master plan for Ruffner Park. We put a phase 1 out to bid on April 30th of this year. The bids were going to be due the 3rd week of May. Due to some questions that were coming up, some clarifications needed, we extended the bid opening date until June the 1st of this year, at which time, and a lot of times you extend the time in hopes that you're gonna get more bids. You always want more bids because that means there's good competition out there, and hopefully you get better pricing. We received 1 bid. As y'all know, this is kind of a unique time. The construction, the building industry, real estate, building materials, it's almost unprecedented, the demand in the construction industry right now. That also impacts contractors, bidders' interest to bid on projects. If they have a full plate and a healthy backlog, a lot of times they will either not bid at all or they'll courtesy bid on a project. As I said, we received 1 bid for this project. that one bid for the park, which was for the full scope of work, was $1,335,000. And that was from dog park, amphitheater, lawn, playground, parking lot, and alternate for another parking lot. And what I've prepared for y'all tonight is, first of all, the kind of the summary of the one bid that was received, with my thoughts on that, also summarize the alternates received. What I did today, when Councilperson Kular asked me to come and give y'all this update, I kind of basically hit the highlights of the bid, where all those different tasks failed. What this does, it's over budget. That's widely known. The project is over budget. Is it kind of gives you somewhat of a shopping list of things to reprioritize. To bid it again, I'm not sure the results. There's no guarantee the results will be any different. They can be, but I think it's still a very healthy building industry out there right now. So, you know, it would be advisable to look at paring down the scope. What all is going to be a part of a phase one? It is certainly the council's and the city's option to rebid it or not. Is certainly an option. But as they say, you know, to get different results, we probably need to take a look at the scope for the project. I hope this summary page, which has the blue bars on it, helps a little bit just to kind of know where all the dollars and cents were in this one bid that we did receive. You know your priorities. The citizens spoke. Y'all have been listening to your constituents on what means the most to the city in going forward with the phase one at Ruffner Park.
Just in case, Councilman London, do you have any questions for this gentleman?
I do. I guess I do. I'm kind of about order. I'm kind of like order, you know, as the council president of this committee, and this me being the first time hearing about this, kind of a little disappointing to me. So I'm gonna leave that at that. So I just want to put that out there, you know, to come here tonight, and you've never called and have a conversation with myself about this as the chairperson. I don't make any decision, but as a courtesy, I think that I should have been called first. That's just my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes, Councilman London, I certainly did not mean to go anywhere without consulting you about this. This was merely a request because constituents were asking for a breakdown of what was that bid about, you know, for each one of the phases. It's not to make any decisions, but it's to give us the information so that we can be prepared when you go call the Parks Committee meeting. We'll have the information and we're ready to discuss it. So it's certainly not meant to bypass you, Councilman. It was just simply meant as a means of getting the information so that when you do call the meeting, we do have the dollar figures. That's all this was.
Thank you,
And I thank you,
Councilwoman.
sir, for coming here.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Box, any questions for this gentleman?
Really, the only question I would have, you got the bid date is June 1st, 2021. Is there an expiration on this?
Yes. That bid, we asked the bidders to stand by it for 30 days. And I believe y'all acted on that.
Yes.
It's my understanding a month ago to
Yes.
formally reject the one bid received.
So this bid that we're looking at pretty much is rejected already?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's all.
And I do not have any questions for you, sir, so thank you for your time this evening.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So I have a question, Councilman Cuellar. Did the mayor know you was coming tonight?
I don't know that. I was asked yesterday to come and prepare this and bring y'all up to speed.
By the mayor?
Councilman London, I literally just informed him because I was informed on my way here.
Okay,
So
so the mayor
short,
didn't know about it?
he did not know,
Okay,
no, sir.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
again, it was just simply a means of getting the information. We as a council, we turned down, we rejected the bid, but residents were wondering how much, you know, is there a way that we can just get a part done so that we can demonstrate that it's moving forward? And we really can't make those decisions unless we have the figures in order to know what each part of Phase 1 costs.
And I'm going to call a
That's
point of
all
order
that
on this.
was
This was
about.
never meant to be a conversation.
Yes. Thank you.
So,
Thank
thank
you,
you
Mr.
very
President.
much for your time, sir. I greatly appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. That being said, at this time, we're looking for any reports of boards and non-council committees.
I had no report.
Fair enough, thank you. Now we come to ourselves where we're looking at the deliberation of agenda items only. And Councilman Lennon, you can probably see we're playing with the format a little bit
Yes, sir.
on this. So we're
Yeah.
we're just trying to refine our process to make our life a little bit easier.
Yeah, I saw it last
So
time.
we've got a consent agenda
Correct.
established, and then we have a regular agenda established. And the goal is to be able to basically approve one with one vote and then just a little bit of clarification therefore afterwards. But, that being said, the new business, resolved resolution 2021 R81 authorizes Mayor James D. Stewart Jr. to execute an amend service agreement with the Irondale Arts Council in the amount of $2,500. Councilman London, I know that Mayor stepped out. Do you have any questions on that or anything?
No, no question on that.
All right, I'm assuming the funding source is the same as some of these other like items have been.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Cuellar,
No questions?
Councilman Box?
No questions.
And myself, no questions on that item either. Item number 2, Resolution 2021 R82 authorizes Mayor James D. Stewart to execute an agreement to share responsibilities, joint service agreement with Jefferson County, Alabama for Grants Wood Road. Councilman London, do you have any questions about that item?
No question.
Okay, Councilwoman Cuellar,
No questions?
Councilman Box?
No questions.
And myself, no questions. And just so the public can know about what that is, there's going to be some detouring that's going to be needing to happen as Grants Mill Road is widened. There's some work that needs to be done on Grants Hill, so that road's going to be focused on get some improvements in place so that it's an effective detour as work's being done on Grants Mill. So that's what this is about. And the Jefferson County, we're agreeing to work in cooperation with them, but they are taking care of all the expenses and things of that nature, so this isn't an expense to the city. Okay? All right, item number 3, Resolution 2021 R83 authorizes the validation proceedings for the Series 2021 refunding warrants. I was going to give Mayor an opportunity to just kind of speak on that, but Councilman London, do you have any questions or anything that you want to add to that?
No questions.
Okay. Councilwoman Cuellar?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
No question.
And myself, I do not have any questions. Mayor, you were perfectly on time. I didn't know if there was anything you wanted to say about item number 3 that is on the consent agenda.
Number 3. Oh, it's the validation for the warrants?
Yes, sir. I
We
didn't know if there was
had-
anything you wanted to add or mention.
No.
Okay.
No, other than we just, because they were used for economic development or 772 purposes, we need to have them validated if we're going to do the refunding.
So it's just part of the process that we have to go through in order to approach the refunding process.
Yes.
Outstanding. All right. That being said, resolved that Resolution 2021 R84 authorizes participation in the ALM Economic Development Academy. That would be Alabama League of Municipalities, which is a resource that we have available to us as a governing body. Is there anything you want to add to that, Mayor?
I forgot I can't take the mask off. I just wanted to, at the last town hall meeting, I talked about how economic development is very important to a municipality and that we really need to begin to focus on it holistically instead of just thinking about how we can bring in commercial entities that would increase the sales and use tax. We need to think about retention. We need to think about workforce development. We need to think about entrepreneurship. We need to think about the whole gamut when it comes to economic development. The League of Municipality now has an Economic Development Academy, and through that academy, the mayor can attend or one of his appointees, but it's a requirement that 2 counselors go through it as well. So I think it's a good idea that if we're going to do economic development, we need to do it comprehensively. It does not need to be one person that's out in the forefront trying to bring entities here to the city, but we need to have everybody on board rowing in the same way. This academy will allow all of us to be educated and to know how to be able to approach it from a team concept instead of trying to be lone rangers.
Understood. Thank you very much, sir. So at this time, when we come to this part of the agenda, I'm assuming we'll be looking for some volunteers. Is that accurate, Mayor?
Yes,
Actually,
yes, we need 2 counselors
Gotcha.
to volunteer, and either the mayor or Lou will go from the administrative side.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
She likes when I appoint her before she agrees to do it, so.
Fantastic. Outstanding. So when we come to that, we will briefly open up the discussion as far as who would like to serve in those slots. All right, outstanding. That comes to the end of the consent agenda. One thing I have not done yet is, do we have any of the items 1, 2, 3, and 4 that we feel should be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda? Councilman London?
No.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
I'd just like a little bit of clarity on number 4 with the Economic Development Academy. Will we be discussing who we'd like to appoint or go to this academy during the vote, or do we do it now during our consent discussions?
That's a good point. Thank you for that. We might as well go ahead and deliberate now if we're going to go ahead and put it on consent. So thank you for that. Councilwoman Cuellar, I believe you were expressing interest in that?
Yes, just for the benefit of our audience here, the Alabama League of Municipalities has a booklet that they send to council members once a month. And we received this booklet a couple of weeks ago, and I was very happy to see that they are offering this academy for economic development. It is a means of equipping your council members, the mayor, as well as other officials in the city. And looking at it, what I see as a benefit is, from my standpoint, because I do have experience with economic development, and that's in Texas. This is Alabama. Alabama has its own people, legislators, decision makers, the folks that control the funds that a municipality needs for its economic development purposes. And that's why this is very beneficial for us to get involved with this. And we've got wonderful people in our city that will certainly gain in knowledge and contacts. So I'm very supportive of it, and I do have some people in mind that I think will be great to go to gain that knowledge.
But as far as from the council, you're expressing your interest, obviously.
I am,
Okay.
yes.
Is there anyone else on this,
Yes,
a second
there-
member on this dais that
Well,
would
there
like to?
actually is someone from the city that I think is key, because the key is 80% of our current businesses are the ones that know are looking at expanding, and
May
God
we
forbid,
proceed
we don't want them to
with-
leave.
Ma'am?
But the other person that I'm
Councilwoman
thinking
Cuellar?
of, yes,
Hold on. This is something that the council has the ability to take in, the ability to participate in. So I would like to
Yes.
see if there is a second council member that would like to express interest in
Okay.
attending this.
Yes.
Councilman London,
Yes.
you would like to do that? Okay.
well, one of the things that's required, and that's one of the things that we need to make sure of, is that we have to attend 4 classes per year, and you cannot miss a class. You also need to attend the orientation, and you cannot miss that. So it's very important that when a council member commits to this, that they show up. Otherwise, we're not able to be involved with this.
I understand that you're kind of informing the audience and everything like that.
I'm informing
I appreciate
everyone,
that.
yes.
Thank you, because I know for us, it was in the supporting documentation, but thank you and
Hey,
allowing me
Council
to.
President, Council
Yep.
President
Mhm.
Spivey, now I think the way that I read it, is that it should be the mayor, his appointee, and 2 council people.
Right.
So that doesn't leave any room to pick somebody outside of
No.
the mayor, his appointee, or the 2 council people.
That's how I read it in the supporting
Okay.
documentation as well.
All right, so I just wanted to make sure that that was clear.
No.
Yes, sir,
What
Crystal.
what it says is, it can be the mayor. It says nothing about his appointee.
The supporting documentation said that it would be the
Okay, when
mayor.
I'm reading this and it's highlighted, it's not in that language, nor is it in the language that the Alabama League sent us. And this is what they sent us.
Fair enough. Robert, Councilman Box, would you like to take part of this?
I would, but if Councilman London is already there and there's only two council
I just
people,
wanted to
I'll-
just-
I would acquiesce to him.
Okay, you would acquiesce to Councilman London?
Council
Council-
President,
Yes, Mayor?
this is what it says. Requirements of selected communities. The mayor or another designated elected or administrative official and at least two council members.
At least.
That was clear to me, and I
Right.
think I understand the spirit of the language as you do, sir. So at this point, we've got Councilwoman Cuellar, who's expressed interest. Councilman London has expressed interest. Councilman Box yields to Councilman London. I know with my,
I'll tell you what, I yield to Councilman Box, to give him the experience.
Well, I'll say this.
Because I serve on the Economic Development Committee already for the League of Municipalities.
Well, and that would be great, but now,
Yeah.
before we yield that way, the mayor just said that it could be up, or I believe it said it could be more than two council members. Is that accurate, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay,
There were-
so,
okay.
would you have an objection to all three of us?
that's fine,
Bill?
there were two lines on the resolution, so that's what I was going off of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, if you still wanna say, then I think that'd be even stronger team if all three of us could go, sir. Well, how do you feel on that?
I already serve on the Economic Development Committee for the
Yes,
League of
sir.
Municipalities.
Yes, sir.
So I'm always informed already. So I
Okay.
think it'd be good for you to go.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine. If we just do two, then whatever
So
y'all feel
for
best.
Resolution 84, the way it would read is how it is written, with the supporting Exhibit A, and then with Councilwoman Cuellar and Councilman Box in the positions for this. And then I'm assuming you have the ability, Mayor, to make your appointments outside of this resolution?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So all we're concerned about right now is the council that will be attending, correct, sir?
All right, one of the things I would like to request from the mayor is that you consider appointing our executive director of the Chamber of Commerce, Miss Julie Gardner, because she is the one that does go out to the current businesses, and it would be beneficial for her to have this additional knowledge and contacts to
Councilwoman
enable her to
Cuellar,
do
we
her
appreciate
job.
the recommendation.
So if you kindly consider that.
That
Mayor.
is something that you and Mayor can discuss
Okay.
offline. Okay.
Thank you.
So we've perfected Resolution 84, if I understand everything correctly, correct? Councilman London, we're perfect, we're good on this?
Yeah, we're good.
Councilwoman Cuellar, we're good on this?
Yes.
Councilman Box, we're good?
Yes.
Outstanding. All right, continuing on with the deliberation of agenda items. All right, so that being said, I believe we've agreed to have all of the first four put on the consent agenda. That's accurate?
Accurate.
Outstanding. All right, now time for the regular agenda. We have one item of new business. I plan to add a second. I'll walk through that here momentarily. New business, resolved resolution 2021 R85 appoints the city council member to the District 5 City Council seat. So that will be something that we will be voting on here momentarily as we move through our agenda. The second item I would like to place on the agenda tonight would be 2021 R86. And basically, what this would be doing is we have a gap, a secondary gap that was left open when Councilman Wilson left us, and that was the position of pro tem, which is basically kind of the backup to the council president. So if I'm unable to fill my duties, it would roll to the pro tem, all right? So that being said, let's see here. We will be, R86 will be an opportunity for us to vote on a pro tem tonight, all right? Here, we've already talked to our candidates. Any questions about any of the new business items? Councilman London?
Yes, I just have a few, well, we're in discussion, right?
Yes, sir.
Discussion, okay. I just have a few things, you know, and this is, and I hope y'all can hear me, this is a great opportunity for our city to appoint, but I just want to say a few things. First point is this: just because a person, and I know some council has probably already have their mind made up even before the interview process, and I am so glad I didn't. I have my mind made up. But just because a person finished second doesn't really mean that person is the best candidate for this spot. It would be a disservice for us, it'd be the service for the district, it'd be the service for, against the city, to not elect the best qualified person for this seat. All of us have listened to the interviews, all of us have saw the resumes, and it will be a disservice to District 5, it will be a disservice to the city if we do not elect the best qualified candidate. And this appointment shouldn't be about relationship, and I have a relationship with all of them, so it doesn't affect me at all. It shouldn't be about relationship. This should be about the best qualified person. Social media, again, I'm not like Council Williams. I watch the social media. I may not comment, but I do watch the social media all the time, because that's how I get a heartbeat on what's happening in the city and what's happening in the district. And what we talk about, what I hear in the social media, 15 years ago, this is the way they done it. 15 years. I wasn't around, none of us around, 15 years ago.
Councilman London,
Make
Councilman
just
London,
one comment.
with all due respect, I was looking for more of a question than a
I
statement.
just wanted to make some points
Please be brief.
because we're finna make a big decision.
We are.
And the councilman got probably out there on mayor. But I would like to ask the mayor, and he was there 15 years ago, to let us know how that process worked, if that's okay with you.
Mayor,
15 years ago.
please, if you would like to answer the gentleman's question.
He wanted to take this mask off, but 15 years ago, I was appointed to the council to fulfill the role of Dr. Berry. I ran against Dr. Berry in the 2004 election, and he ended up with 216 votes, and I ended up with 208 votes. After the election, I continued to serve. I was already on the CDA. I was the president of the Exchange Club, and I was highly involved in all of the activities that was going on in the city. So when Dr. Berry moved, Mayor Tommy Joe Alexander and Greg, can't remember Greg's last name, who was the city attorney at that time,
Ramsey?
Morris.
Morris.
Greg Morris, they called me on the phone and they asked me if I would like to serve out the 18 months of Dr. Berry's term. I told them that I would do that if they wanted me to serve. So they didn't open it up for applicants or to take applications. They didn't interview any other people for the position. They didn't select me because I came in second place. They selected me because I was already active in the community. I had already studied at that time at Harvard University. I'd been to the Wharton Business School to be able to study economic development. And I was heavily involved in the city at that time. And they thought that I would be an excellent candidate to be able to serve because I was well qualified to be able to serve in that position. It was only 2 of us in the race. So somebody had to come in second, and I ended up coming in second. But that's how I ended up on the council. It wasn't an automatic because I came in second place. It was because I was the most qualified candidate at that time, and they did not open it up to the public for people to submit their resumes to be considered for the position. They asked me if I would serve. I told them that I would at the next council meeting. They voted me in and swore me into office, and that's how I began to serve my first term on the city council.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. And this is my last point, Mr. President. Take 30 seconds. When we appoint CDA, we take a recommendation. I've heard Councilman Quaylor say, thank you, CDA, for your recommendation. Thank you, Library Board, for your recommendation. I've heard her say that, which is important to me too. It's important to me. I have taken recommendation from District 5, not District 1. They have no dog in the fight. I have no dog in the fight. I know this is our appointment. So I think if we would have having a disservice to our District 5 if we don't allow them to make a recommendation for this seat, because in 3 years, they're gonna have to vote that person back in. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I should let Councilwoman Cuellar respond,
Well, yes. One of
or
the
ask a
things-
question for that matter.
One of the things to be clear on is that my mind was not made up, okay? It's not. Took many things into account. The person, their involvement, their resume, the questions that I asked on the phone interviews, and the interviews that took place tonight. So, for the sake of clarity here, because there are comments made that decisions were already made, my mind was not made up and is made up now.
Fair
Thank
enough,
you.
thank you. Councilman Box?
So this is for questions, not comment, I
It's-
take it. So
That
theoretically,
would be the idea, but I allowed some statements to be made, so I'm
Thank you.
just gonna open
Okay,
it
so-
up.
That's why you go
for some
first.
Statements, yeah.
That's why you go first.
okay. So I guess, the mayor was asked the question, and the mayor, what you're telling me is the council called you first to ask you first if you were willing to serve.
Yes.
Okay. And then, do we have any knowledge of if the council called Counselor Wilson first and asked him if he was willing to serve?
I don't know about Counselor Wilson because he was appointed before I was appointed.
Before you were. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor. And so, with that said, we don't have a particular city policy that says we must call and ask the second plate person. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
There's no ordinance.
There's no
or
written
something?
policy, ordinance, resolution, or anything that stipulates how a council person is supposed to be put in that seat when it becomes vacant.
So it would seem to me that everyone, I hope, will agree, and I'll try to phrase that as a statement, I hope everyone does agree, that the interview process was a good thing. I think that was a good thing. I conducted the interviews personally before I was aware that we were going to do the interview process. And so my only question is there then, I don't see how anyone's mind could be made up. Even my mind wasn't made up this morning, and as of lunchtime, and through the interviews, I'm still conflicted because, as Councilman London stated, everyone that's come here before us is very talented. It appears to me they all have the city's best interests at heart, which the challenge will be removing their own self-interest completely, because that's the challenge for all of us as human beings. And I'm sorry that's a statement, so I'll firm that as a question. Can we all, after this meeting, remove our own self-interest and move forward with the decision that's made? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And for anybody in the crowd that's concerned about this particular resolution, as we get through and finish our deliberation, which we've pretty much just done, we will move forward with approving the agenda, and then at that time, we will be accepting comments on agenda items, which obviously this appointment is one of them. So we'll be accepting comments from any citizens that would like to speak towards that appointment, but we will limit it to 2 minutes. So there you go. All right, that being said, Miss April, I messed this up the last time, so I'm going to endeavor to do better on this one, since we're changing our process up a little bit. So we have our consent agenda put together, and we've got our 2 items. Yes, ma'am.
First, you will need to approve the overall agenda.
Yes, ma'am. So we've got our 2 items on new business. So as Ms. April pointed out, we need to go ahead and approve our agenda. That being said, could we have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Was that a no, John?
No.
Okay, I apologize. And then, Ms. April, we need to go ahead and reapprove the consent agenda, correct?
No.
That just took care of it, right?
We'll just go to public comments.
Perfect.
And then you will consider all items on the consent agenda for approval after public comment.
Perfect, thank you so much. That being said, since we have an approved agenda now, we will now take comments on agenda items only. For anyone who approaches the microphone to speak, like I said, we'll be running a 2-minute timer on that. Our lovely city clerk here will be collecting your name and address. There was a form, hopefully you grabbed one. If not, we'll just take a moment to just articulate that to her before you get started. So that being said, we're now accepting comments on agenda items only. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Holly Chandash, and this is my mother, Dixie Shows. and we are here to support Aaron Sims for District 5.
And what is your address, ma'am?
125 Old Grants Mill Road, they changed it.
125 Grants?
They just changed it.
Okay, but it's known as, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure she catches it.
It's Grants Mill,
Okay, perfect.
yes. Chandash.
Thank you for your comments.
What district were you in? Can I ask that question?
I don't know, one.
You're in District 1? Hey, you're in my district.
I like you.
Thank you.
All right. Let me get this bad boy reset here.
My name is Frida Williams, under 5178 Cornell Drive, and I am in District 5, and I'm here to support Carolyn Jones.
Thank you, ma'am. Catching all this quick enough, Lou? Outstanding. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. I am Phyllis Mitchell. I reside at 5185 Goldmar Drive, and I'm here to support Fraser.
Ms. Frazier, understood.
Yes. Patricia Fraser.
Thank you very much.
Can we ask again, as Councilman London stated, can we ask again what district?
Sure, absolutely. If you're unfamiliar with where the address is.
District 5?
District 5.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Terry Burney. I reside at 4023 Nicole Drive.
4023?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I just wrote out a little something so I won't forget anything. I'm in District 3. I have known Ms. Jones for over 20 years. I've seen her in action, and because of that, I think she would be a great addition to the Irondale City Council. I'd like to point out a few things. One, she is willing to offer herself and her time for the betterment of our city. As a public employee myself, people don't always appreciate what you do. As you know, people can be rude and criticize your actions for any reason, no reason at all. To be willing to subject yourself to that type of scrutiny and criticism is commendable. Two, she cares about our city and is involved. She has been a resident of Irondale for more than 30 years. She has been involved with the Chamber, the City of Irondale Spring Fest, and other events to improve our city. She not only talks the talk, but she walks the walk. I think she's qualified to be on the council. She and I were co-workers for the city of Birmingham while she worked for the city council and I worked for the mayor's office. There were many times that we had to coordinate efforts between the mayor's office and the city council. She had an opportunity to see up close the operations of the city, of the council, and the legislative role it plays in the governance of the city. She continued that work with the City of Irondale Council. To summarize, her willingness to serve, love and commitment to her city, and her experience working with governments gives me confidence that she will be a great addition to our city council. I hope you see it that way too. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So can you state your name again?
Dixie Shows, SHOWS, and I've lived here since the 4th grade. I love Irondale,
Can we get your address, ma'am, for the record?
1125 Grants Mill Road,
Thank you.
or 1225, whatever.
Whatever it is
Irondale
today.
makes his
Thank
mind
you.
up about it.
All right.
And I do hope they keep it 1125. That's where people can find me. But I do think on this ALM, I think that all of the city council members should go to that. And I don't know why they would not want to.
Noted.
And that's,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have, yes, sir? Greetings.
My name is Ken Atkinson. I actually live in Leeds, 6650 Woodmere Crossing. I have a daughter that just recently purchased a house in Irondale on Rock Ridge Road. I think I've met all y'all with the exception of Mr. Box. I was the police chief here from 2015 to 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of Carolyn Jones. After serving 34 years in public service, I learned real quickly to be successful as a police department or a city, you gotta have involved citizens. And Carolyn Jones, from the time I took the position as police chief, stepped up, and I won't go over all the reasons. I sent you all an email kind of outlining how she helped me as a police department and as a city. And I would just reiterate again that Carolyn Jones really has been the person that steps in there and gets her hands dirty and does what's good for the city of Irondale. So I would again request that you consider her for that open position.
Thank you, sir.
I think he stated, Lou, he lives in Leeds.
He does live in Leeds. Do we have any other comments on agenda items only? Yes, ma'am? I wasn't sure if you were moving around or if you were coming up front.
Melanie Colston, 718 Terry Lane. I lived in Irondale for 15 years and known Carolyn for quite some time, so I'm here to support Carolyn Jones. I'm also a city employee. Carolyn, no matter what's going on in the city, she's there, and she's focused on moving the city forward. There's nothing you can call her about that she's not willing to help. So that's why my support for District 5 as y'all's constituents to support Carolyn Jones in that seat.
And what district were you in, please?
5.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other comments on agenda items only? Yes, ma'am.
Hey, I'm Therese Bynum. I actually live out by the Eastwood Mall, but I own a house here in Irondale. And I have been working with Irondale City Council and the mayor since 1985. We put on events that drew actually around 42 of the United States and several foreign countries to Irondale. I couldn't have done that without the city council, without the mayors that I've worked with, and without the help of, most recently, Daryl Washington has helped me with several events in Irondale that we brought economic impact to Irondale. I mean, the Birmingham Convention and Visitors Bureau said that our events, one event brought $1.3 million to the greater Birmingham area, which it was here in Irondale. So I would just like to say that Daryl's always been a great guy helping me along with the city council and the mayors. And that's all I got to say is he's been a great guy.
Ma'am, what house is your district in, please?
2.
2?
2.
Can you give us the address for the record, Trace?
505 Deering Street.
That's your Birmingham house, right?
That's my Irondale house.
Oh, that's your Irondale? Okay, I forgot that was Deering. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate you. All right. Any other questions for? Thank you, I appreciate that. Any other comments on agenda items only? Okay, fair enough. We'll go ahead and close down the comments on agenda items only. One thing that Chief did ask me to just mention there for the people watching at home is since the governor has lifted the mandate on the fact that we have to have, during the COVID pandemic, we were allowed to live stream and remotely conduct our council meetings. That order has expired. Therefore, any comments that come in from Facebook or YouTube or anything like that can't be counted as part of the record, so we will not be accepting comments from Facebook or YouTube. All right? And that like I said, that changed when that order expired and we were no longer allowed to meet virtually. So I'm saying that more for the benefit of the people that are watching us right now. Let me find my glasses. Right. So now that we have deliberated on the agenda and we've accepted comments on the agenda, would someone make a motion for the passage of the consent agenda?
I make a motion, we pass the consent agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, I believe you were first on that, John, Councilman London. And then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then remind me, do I need to conduct a roll call on that? Ms. April? Okay, perfect. So the consent agenda and all items in it passed. All right, now we move on to the new business item. I need someone to make a motion on Resolution 2021 R85 that would fill the position that was vacated by Councilman Wilson to fill the District 5 City Council seat.
I make a motion that 2021 R85 appoint Carolyn Jones as a new council member.
We have a motion for Carolyn Jones to fill that seat.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Roll call, Councilman London?
Yes.
Okay. Councilwoman Cuellar?
No.
Councilman Box?
Abstain.
You abstain?
I do.
Okay. And myself, no. Okay, so I would accept another motion.
I make a motion that we appoint Patricia Frazier to the seat for District 5 on 2021 R85.
We have a motion for Patricia Frazier. Do we have a second?
I think the second that.
Thank you. We appreciate your input. We have a motion for Patricia Frazier. Do we have a second? We do not have a second. Okay, I will accept a third motion.
I make a motion that we appoint Aaron Sims to fill the position vacant seat on District 5.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 No.
Okay, roll call.
No.
Councilman London?
No.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right. That being said, I believe we need to go ahead and move forward with the swearing in. Would that be accurate, Ms. April?
You may certainly do that.
Okay. Mayor, do we have anyone to swear in this gentleman? Do we have a judge, or how are we going to handle that? I should have followed up with you on that.
I don't think we have an ordinance. We don't.
What are they doing?
Council President Spivey.
Yes, ma'am.
The swearing in can be done by a notary public.
Okay. Outstanding. And so you're a volunteer for this evening?
I was called over here.
Gotcha, understood.
Volunteer.
Voluntold, I'll just be nice. Okay, perfect, so,
I have my big purse. Do you have a Bible, Councilman Box? I didn't bring mine with me.
We're going to
I think he's
locate
got
a
one in his
Bible.
office.
I'm sorry?
Bible.
We're going to locate a Bible.
I figured as much, thank you. One moment while we locate a Bible. I've got one in my truck if it's necessary.
I have one in my big purse. To keep a small one in my big purse.
We have our language and we have our Bible, all right? All right.
Bible holder.
Mr. Sims, if you would approach.
I, Aaron Sims,
I, Aaron Sims,
solemnly swear that I am eligible for the office of council member
solemnly swear that I am eligible for the office of council member
of Irondale,
of Irondale,
and will execute the duties of the same according to the best of my ability,
and will execute the duties of the same according to my ability,
to the best of my abilities,
best of my ability,
and that I will support
and that I will support
the constitutions and will obey the laws
the constitutions and obey the laws
of the United States and of the state of Alabama,
of the United States and the state of Alabama,
that I will in all respects
that I will in all respects
observe the provisions of the ordinances of the city of Irondale,
observe the provisions of the ordinances of the city of Irondale,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of council member.
and will faithfully discharge the duties of council member,
Office of council member.
office of council member.
I, Aaron Sims,
I, Aaron Sims,
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Alabama,
and the Constitution of the state of Alabama,
so long as I continue a citizen thereof,
so long as I continue a citizen thereof,
and that I will faithfully and honestly discharge
and that I will faithfully and honestly discharge
the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter,
the duties of the office I am about to enter
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
All right, Mr. Sims, take your seat. I didn't know if you had one. All right, sir. We wanted to wait till we had all five president appointed before I wanted to make sure we had all five representations filled before we moved forward with pro tem. So that will be that'll be our last agenda item for this evening. That being said, I would like to, let me go ahead and grab that. Regarding Resolution 2021 R86, I would accept a motion to appoint a pro tem to the council.
I make a motion to appoint Councilor Cindy Cuellar to be council pro tem for the city of Irondale.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Fair enough. I'll accept another motion.
I make a motion to appoint Councilor John London to councilor pro tem for the city of Irondale.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Roll call. Councilman London? Going to stay, abstain on that, obviously? Okay. Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
Councilman Sims?
Yes.
And myself, yes. So that adds Councilman London to the pro tem, and if I'm able to, if I'm not able to fulfill my duties. That being said, we are finished with our agenda. At this time, we would take public comments on non-agenda items. Once again, we'll enforce the 2-minute rule, and if we need your name and your address. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Carol Hunt. I live at 3536 Stonehenge Place. I live in District 3 of the city of Irondale. And I'm here to let the council know about a flooding problem that my next door neighbor, Penny Kane, right sitting back there, and I are having with the builder, Isaac David, the builder and developer of the property called Villas on Old Leaves. Last fall, Mr. David filled the drainage ditch behind my neighbor and my property so that he could build 3 houses on it, actually. And I spoke to him when he did that, and I told him that was going to be a problem because he did it right behind my property. And I've lived in Irondale at the address I gave you for 46 years, and I'm familiar with that ditch and how much stormwater comes down from Old Leeds Road in that ditch. And I knew that when he covered it, that the water was going to come into my property, which it did. And so I spoke to him about it, and his comment to me was, it's my property, I can do whatever I want. And since that time, we've had multiple rains, and the pictures that, I have some for you too, some information. Did you get it? Did you get it? There it is, yeah. You can see from the pictures the flooding problem I've had. In May, I wrote Mr. David a letter and told him that he does not, could not come on my property to fix the problem. And since then, he has done that. Now, I have contacted the city. I've been in touch with Greg Cochran, the city inspector, Daryl Hamrick, the city engineer. I've been in touch with the chief, Brad Doss, and I've been in touch with Mrs. Danielson, the city attorney. And I can't say enough about how much the city has helped me. My complaint here is not against the city, because they have been on board with me, and they have done whatever they can do to help me. And so I'm just here to make you aware of the problem that I've been having since last fall with the flooding. And right now, Mr. David has come on my property, and he's dug a ditch that has flooded. And today, I went back there, and there was a bunch of rocks that he had stacked up, and he pushed those onto my property. And so I spoke to Mr. David, and I told him that, you know, he does not have my permission to come on my property.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Obviously, if you have a channel that's been helping you, I would encourage you to continue down that path.
Yes.
So hopefully you can have continued
Councilman
success with your
Spivey?
problem.
I have some questions, because she's my constituent.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Hunt, first I want to thank you for coming here and bringing this to our attention. Okay? And secondly,
Councilwoman
how
Cuellar,
long
this
have you
isn't meant
been
to
dealing
necessarily
with
be a
this?
discussion. We're accepting
I-
comments.
I have some questions as her representative.
And y'all can have that as an offline conversation. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time. We'll accept any other comments on non-agenda items this evening. Yes, ma'am.
I haven't filled this out yet, but congratulations, Aaron, for District 5. But what I'd like to say, and this is ongoing in the future, this has happened 3 times, and we didn't have a process, or we didn't have a standard procedure. This is one thing we need to have a procedure for, because every other district gets to vote on whoever will represent them. But I heard a lot of comments about people, about who should be for District 5 outside of that district. That's not allowed for others. So we need to have a process, if that means voting again, or whatever, so that the residents of the district that is being represented get to vote who their leader is. So I don't know where that process needs to start, but we need to have it.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll fill this out and give it to you.
Thank you, Ms. Rader. Any other comments on non-agenda items at this time? That being said, yes, sir.
Sorry, I'm not really sure how this process works.
You're fine. You have 2 minutes, sir.
My name is Steve Sharkety. I'm not a resident of Irondale. My company is New View Outdoor, and
Say that again.
New View Outdoor.
Okay.
And I work with Vivian Mora on Crestwood Boulevard, and we're 2 small businesses. My company has a long history of working in the outdoor sign business, and I've been involved working with Irondale for about 18 months now, trying to get this sign approved on our property, and that was done so back in 12/08/20 by Mr. Charles Desmond. So we were granted a sign permit to build an LED, a small LED sign on Miss Moore's property.
We wrote a check to Kelly Walmach back in December, and we're given permit number 2020-72727. Back in April of this year, we were doing a soil test on the property to study the integrity of the soil content, and we were given a verbal stop work order to stop with the test. So, long story short, we have over $20,000 invested in this project. I've been working with the various council members legal council members now for several weeks, trying to get this resolved. And I've got a long history. My company has built the LED sign at the Narrows property on Highway 280, if you're familiar with that. I live in Georgia. I drove out here for this meeting. And I work with the mayor of the city of Morrow, Georgia. We're doing very similar things with LED signs in that city. We're wanting to work with the community and the Chamber of Commerce in various cities and communities, help promote things that they might be having come up and so forth. And all I ask is that you guys vote to stop the work order so we don't have this thing lingering out there, so we can continue on with our project.
Thank you for your comments.
If it needs to be done another time, I totally understand, so.
Thank you.
Thank
Comments are noted. Do we have any other? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Any other comments on non-agenda items? With that being said, with no further comments on non-agenda items, I would go ahead and accept a motion to adjourn. Actually, I'm sorry. I apologize. That being said, the council, due to discussion on negotiations involving matters of trade or commerce, needs to call an executive session. So we will move into another room. It is important to note that we will.
You'll need a motion.
When we move into executive session, we will be ending that executive session in that other room, and we will not be returning to this chamber. Exiting that executive session, we'll close our meeting for the evening. So that being said, I need a motion to enter into executive session.
I make a motion to go into executive session.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. We'll move into executive session, and we will adjourn in that off-site room.